It's nice to have you back with us. So, what happens when in business you hit a sort of a place at two junctions or at 2 points, 3 points even, and you get confused? It happens a lot these days, where we get caught up and between various options and choices, and it's sometimes hard to go between this one or that one in that predicament. So at the end of the day, as a person of business or entrepreneurship, it's about taking risks. So in business, you're sort of taking a risk in business, giving your time, your effort, and you're giving it, and within money as well, with finances, you're trying to obviously draw as much wealth to yourself as possible. But in doing so, you're going to have to take some risks, and this is part of a business, or even in sport as well. You're going to have to give it a bit of a risk in order to get the maximum gain. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to go into business in a loss. No one goes to business attracting a loss or wanting a loss. It's not the best of feelings, nor the best of situations. Everyone can understand that. But from a business point of view and an entrepreneurship point of view, it's all about taking those extra limits and pushing them sort of to the end, to the edge. Okay. But having said that, though, I'm going to have to stop sort of here at this edge bit, because it is okay to go into sort of a cave or a safe zone. So you go into sort of your safe a zone where you can just hold off for the moment for something to happen before you actually make a choice or a decision on something, this one or that one, or should I invest or should I not? Especially for those who are investment, and it's just like an investment type of thing where, they go investing on like Wall Street or some kind of the ASX here in Australia, the Australian Stock Exchange, for example, or just even purchasing a business. These days purchasing a business it's still a risk as well. Should I do it? Should I not? Or is this the right time to invest? Or is it not time to get into business? This is a legitimate question, and everyone should be asking this. So there is a couple of ways to deal with it, and of course, depending on what industry you're in and where you're at. Of course, it depends on where you're at and where you want to be and what you got in front of you. But I'm going to have to say that it is okay to sit in a safe zone where you're sort of, waiting for something to happen for you to actually get out and take that, to make that decision and to go and to proceed on. Okay, and this is the same in sport as well, when you've got a lot of competitors and you've got a lot of things happening. In all sports, athletes, all of it. Of course, the UFC, boxing, we're in touch with. Thanking you all in those industries. But in business and entrepreneurship, this is so. So you can hold back. It's okay to hold back. You don't always have to be the first one or the quickest one, because I know in business they always say in entrepreneurship, if you've got to be the quickest one, you quickly buy it before the prices get raised or there's no demand anymore, and so on. But at times you do have to hold back a bit, train yourself to say no. I'm not going to continue on, or I'm not going to hold on, or I'm not going to proceed on, but I'm going to hold on for a bit and pause for a moment to see what's going to happen in the market. This happens also when there's in turbulence. If you see people, investors and stuff, you'll see this. People, they hold back and they get scared and so on. It's not to be scared, but it's good to be cautious and to think thoroughly without being just reactive. Don't be just reactive. Okay, so this is your wealth and you want to increase. No one goes into business for a loss. We want to increase this wealth, and so do you. And you want maximum gains and returns. So therefore, it's okay to sit back for a moment, in a safe predicament, and seeing what happens in the market or what happens, in the situation. Can you change it? Can you not? Some people can change the situation, and others can't. I always reference Warren Buffett. When he invests and he buys when everyone's sort of selling and everyone's scared off, so he goes in and buys it. He can do that. He knows the market, and he can do that. And this may and can work, but not for everyone. Not for everyone. So you need these sort of extra powers where you've got that sort of influence or the power to push back in these in these times. For others, they've tried it, didn't work. But it's good to be open and take risks. So having said that, we got to be patient or just hold back in a safe sort of zone without making a quick and rational decision or reactive decision. So sudden, when you're you're at a junction point where you got to make a decision between two places or two things, two prominent investments. it is okay to say, to say no. But I mean, in business and entrepreneurship, at the end of the day, we're going to have to encourage everyone to take things to the limit. This is how it is in business: is take it to the limit. In sport, they'll tell you exactly the same thing. You're not going to be the fastest runner when you're not taking it to the limit. You're not the strongest weightlifter, the heaviest, weightlifter. You're not the best person in the UFC if you don't take it to the limit. In boxing, in swimming, so much so they get so pressured, these athletes and sports people, so much so that they go to other areas and they start indulging in, taking some kind of performance drugs and so on. I don't encourage this at all. I'm not encouraging this, not at all. But what I'm trying to say is take it to the limit with your own self. Take it to the limit. Keep away from steroids and keep away from any drugs. Actually, everything, all drugs. Keep away from it for your own well-being. You won't feel it now. You may feel it later on. But look after yourself, of course, in sport and in entrepreneurship and business. Look after your wealth and push it to the limits. Keep on pushing, and your coaches and whoever's coaching in sport and stuff, they'll tell you keep on training and you got to practice more and keep on doing it and be repetitive and try this and try that and try to wreak out the maximum in your ability. So that therefore you can perform and outdo others as well. You got to give your best as well. So. It is good to do that similarly in entrepreneurship because it is risk taking. Take it to the limits, but be sure to know your limit in this as well. So in case things do turn on you, you're not in maximum loss either. So be mindful of this. But for everybody else who is performing in whatever performance you're doing, excellent. Go on and push on to the very very end. We've got like Mike Tyson. Brother Mike, youngest heavyweight champion in the world back in the 80s. And, he done it at 20. He pushed the limits. He was pushed to the limits. He had his trainer and the person who actually trained him up, Cus D'Amato. And also he went on and wanted to be the youngest. Even now, he was like in his 50s and he's still, taking on the fights, and he's pushing himself to the limit. And others in other areas, in other fields, they've also pulled on, even Warren Buffett, in his 90s, he was, still going. And he was seen still doing what he's doing. So there's no limit, but you can push the limit to as far as you can and where you're able to. But just be mindful of what is going around and what the repercussions of something that a bad type of situation may occur as well. But be sure to push the limits. I'll leave it for the moment. Have a good day. Have a good Friday, and we'll touch soon. Take care.